Welcome to Chapter 7 of the History of the Missouri Feral Hog. Here's where some of the outside media were questioning what was going on in Missouri. The hog issue is a matter of wording. Another theory is during the commercial hog farming economic crisis in the 1980s, bankrupt farmers simply released financially worthless animals into the wild. Biologists have found traces of pot-bellied pig blood, suggesting some feral ancestors were once family pets also. In terms of financial damage, and conservation officials say it's difficult to estimate the cost of feral hogs to the Missouri Industrial Forest and Wildlife. Missouri has between 5,000 and 10,000 feral pigs spread across 20 counties, officials estimate. That is for 2010. In 2014, Missouri Department of Conservation professional will quote that 70% of the feral hog population needs to be removed yearly to keep populations of feral hogs from increasing. Texas, Louisiana, and Florida biologists, scientists, and agencies who says they cannot. Can I wipe out hog populations through hunting or trapping? Quote, the feral hog has managed to survive and adapt and increase their numbers despite attempts to population control. While it is possible to keep population in check with continued controls of 70+% killed annually, it is highly unlikely to eradicate hog population within an established range. Missouri has become a Tier 3 in 2010 feral hog state, per USDA APHIS 10,000 to 100,000 feral swine. Operational component funding structure tier of baseline funding allocated to Wildlife Service state program depends on feral swine population and distribution. Damage to resources, presents potential damage to resources, and state, territorial, tribal, and local regulation impacting management efforts. Wild pig estimate population in the state of Missouri, per the Missouri Department of Conservation, quotes 10,000. The USDA APHIS uses the National Feral Swine Mapping System that allows the Game and Fish departments to log in and plug in where they're seeing hog populations. And that's where your don't shoot feral hogs, do report them comes in. By doing that, you give the Missouri Department of Conservation Feral Hog Task Force, they're able to plug that into the feral mapping system. In turn, that decides on how much funding comes in. And Missouri's not the only one with a fancy tagline. If you look at Kentucky, report wild pigs, have you seen me, don't shoot them. It's the same across the board. And once you learn about behind the curtain of don't shoot, report in a National Feral Swine Mapping System, this is where the curtain's drawn back and you start to find out more. And an estimated state population is 11.5, which is Oklahoma, Texas, Florida, California, is 750,000 feral swine or more. Level 4 is between 100,000 and 750,000 feral swine. A level 3 is between 10,000 and 100,000 feral swine. That's the reason why if you look at the previous, you see where Missouri started getting their funding in 2014, this year. So the detection level, and there's level 0. Part of that is the funding. You got to have so many hogs to get so much funding. So detection level, you don't get any money. I mean, level 0, you don't get any money. Detection level, you get 42,000 a year. And then level 1, you get 68,000. Level 2, you get 165,000. Level 3 is 235,000, and so on. So Missouri at a level 3 got $235,000 a year, and that was based on the 2015-2016, and that changes. So we go from there. So the Missouri feral hog status from 2014 to 2018, you can see we're at a level 3, and that's 10,000 to 100,000 feral hogs. In 2006, Jaeger Pro came out with a drop gate. Missouri bought a few. They had rooter doors. They had slam trap doors. But this was 2014 was the first year they started designing their own traps. So they had the Missouri drop gates, what they called this one. And you also can see behind the curtain that it was not electronic. You see the bait corn, you see the trip wire, and a single strand wire of braided line. So what they did was they take the drop gate design and made it their own. In 2014, Missouri bow hunters saw 170 wild hogs in 9 counties. In 2014, also the Missouri Department of Conservation estimated the population of 10,000. Hogs killed by the MDC was 2,371. The actual percentage of hogs killed was 24%, and 70% required to be killed to keep the population stable is still 7,000. Also in 2014, a Mingo National Wildlife Refuge hunting chapter of the Visitor Service Plan, a federal document, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service Midwest Region 2004, Mingo is 21,592 acres and has a population of wild hogs of 400 to 700 hogs. During a 2014 study, arrow shooting at 296 per hog. After approval from regional office, the refuge partnered with MDC to attempt aerial control of hogs with the use of helicopters and a gunner. Wednesday, March 20th, 2013, they closed the refuge to all public access due to management activity. All refuge staff was on hand to make sure all access points of the refuge were successfully guarded to prevent public access during the operations. The public was notified that the refuge was closed, and a local news station covered the story before the operation began. One hog was killed during the aerial operation. Efforts were limited to the large size of the refuge, heavy tree cover, brush coupled with vast areas of standing water, which caused a glare from the sun and made it difficult for the gunner to see. The tree cover brush was thick and allowed the hogs to run and hide from the gunner. The Missouri Department of Conservation 2000 will conduct a one-day aerial operation control at the National Wildlife Refuge. MDC staff quote, with traps you might get 15 hogs. We can get out with a helicopter and get 40, 50 in one day, so it's much more efficient. Aerial hog hunt yielded exactly one dead hog at Mingo National Wildlife Refuge. Mingo Refuge Manager quote to the media in 2013, the current population of feral hogs is around 200 on Mingo National Wildlife Refuge. Now this is where it starts to get a little foggy, because in 2013 to the media, the refuge manager said there was 200 feral hogs. In 2014 to the media, or into a federal document, there was 407 feral hogs. On March 14, 2014, Mingo National Wildlife Refuge, and the preliminary data showed the population has grown from about 30 animals 2 years ago to roughly 1,800 animals today. And that was part of the research project on Mingo National Wildlife Refuge. Feral hogs became quite frequent discussion for refuge throughout 2013. The current hunting regulation for the refuge for hog male and table incidental to any refuge hunt with weapon legal for hunting. And if you're not aware, hunting on Mingo only happens with a bow or a muzzleloader during those time frames. There is no rifle season on Mingo. The word is spreading about the growing population of hogs. The refuge office received numerous phone calls regarding the topic, why the refuge does not allow people to hunt specifically for hogs. The reason is to support the stance that MDC is taking with feral hogs. The state does not want to encourage the culture of hog hunting because of the fear that it could lead to public releasing feral hogs on public land. Also, individual hunting for feral hogs interfere with current management activities by the refuge staff and feral hog task force. Even with refuge regulation and incidental take of feral hogs, there were still an alarming number of hogs killed on the refuge this year. And if you remember a previous history, feral hogs were reported on Mingo in 1994. Omitted from history, 2012-2014 Mingo Wildlife Refuge Wild Hog Research. The Missouri Department of Conservation Site-Specific Control Strategies for Feral Hogs on Mingo National Wildlife Refuge. $14,700 of taxpayer money was spent for this research by the Missouri Department of Conservation. The research on Mingo Wildlife Refuge in 2012 feral hog movement around the refuge. This information to be more efficient in their hog eradication efforts. Project continued through 2013. Camera pulled in January of 2014. Hog sign had been detected over a large area of the refuge. And this was when they were starting to push to close the Missouri Department of Conservation areas to ban all hog hunting on those. Since January 2013, a total of 210 hogs have been taken from Mingo National Wildlife Refuge. As seen in the graph, and this was during the research project, they hired a private hog dog hunter and his dogs for this research project. They took the most hogs, 54.8%, 115 feral hogs with hog dogs. A special use permit was issued and the hog dog tracker with hog dogs. Hunting and shooting. Now, hunting on Mingo is muzzleloaders and bows only. 25 feral hogs taken by hunters during managed hunts for white-tailed deer. 24 feral hogs were shot by staff over bait piles. Just FYI, hunting and hog dogs are two different activities. Trapping. 18.6%, 39 feral hogs trapped by the MDC, 1 full-time trapper. Panel traps with bait. Trapping was halted during deer and turkey season to prevent baiting issues. Snares, 2.9%, 6 feral hogs with cable restraint snares set up in known locations by MDC full-time hog technician. Helicopter, 0.5%, 1 feral hog was taken. This research was never shown to the public. This research was never shown to the media.